WWE talent tried to get Omos fired. We'll talk about it. Plus, indie promoters are worried about WWE ID plans. And another WWE Hall of Famer could be returning to NXT. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling news right now. Bobby Lashley is imminently debuting for AEW. He's been doing quite a few interviews and stuff recently talking about his time in WWE. And he was on the Lame Guys podcast speaking about his rivalry with Omos, in which, as he talked about it, he revealed that there were some people within WWE that wanted to see Omos gone.
Yeah, he said, that was cool working Omos at WrestleMania 38, and I'm taking the credit for Omos. Everybody else will, because he started turning it on after that. When he first came on, they were going to fire him because he hurt a couple of people. At the beginning, he was wrestling with certain people, and there were a couple of people yelling at him, trying to make him look bad to the office, and trying to get him fired because he hit a dude hard and stuff like that. So when they put him in with me, I was like, I'll work with him, because I had the mentality of Undertaker. Taker looked at somebody like him saying, I want to work with that guy. Some of the guys are like, I want to work with my buddy because we can make a cool match and we can do cool stuff. You've got to overcome obstacles. That's what wrestling is all about. And I was like, he's an obstacle for me. In like a positive way.
He's an obstacle for me.
Yeah.
Omos has been off TV for some time now. I think March was his last match at a house show. I think April was his last match on television. There's been a lot of conversations about whether or not he's... I mean, you go, we don't know whether or not they like him within the new administration, but the fact that he's been off TV for so long would kind of answer the question somewhat.
Yeah. And he's one of the ones that even though he clearly, was a little bit maybe unpolished compared to a lot of people on the roster, especially in this new Triple H world, I think you need variety. And Omos was a massive bloke.
Yes.
And you need that. Sometimes in wrestling, you just need a massive bloke, and it's okay if he can't do all the moves and all the psychology, you can work around that. So I think here, even though he's kind of expressed it in maybe a bit of a self-aggrandizing way, I think I do agree with Bobby Lashley here. You do need, you can't just have matches with your pals and do all the cool things. Sometimes there has to be variety.
And it's rough to hear what he says there, with people like making a point to yell at him, make him look bad in the office, because as he says, there's obviously if you're legitimately hurting people in matches, then there's an issue there. But that was very early on, and as Bobby Lashley has said, Omos did improve from there on. But it's the Omos situation is an interesting one. He is still somewhat around because he does videos on his YouTube channel reviewing fragrances and colognes.
Yes, apparently so. I still need to check that out, but apparently it's lovely.
It's a really wholesome watch.
Oh, nice.
We are big fans of Omos. We are Omos-sexuals here.
Omos sapiens.
Omos sapiens.
You can be either. You can be.
I thought it was Obus. What are we called if we love Oberfemi? Oberfeminists.
Yeah.
We're Oberfeminists and homosexuals.
Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens or homosexuals.
Or whatever. Yeah, it's fine.
Look, if I want to be,
yeah, you can. I'm not saying that you can't.
can be whatever you want. I don't care what you say, Dad.
We didn't need to bring sex into it, Tom.
That's right.
We're all Homo
That's what
sapiens.
you say in every annual general meeting. Honestly. Let's talk about WWE ID. This was announced yesterday that WWE are forming very formal partnerships with promotions currently around the US and North America with plans to create a pathway for them to join WWE. Some of those companies include the ones that are owned and operated by the likes of Seth Rollins, by Cody Rhodes, that's the Nightmare Factory, the Knox Academy, which is Rikishi's, I believe, Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, very much in there. Companies that have already had some business with WWE back and forth. But with that does come some concern from some promoters.
Yes, according to PW Insider, they say a few independent promoters we spoke with have already worried this could be the American equivalent of WWE signing all the British talent ahead of the launch of NXT UK a few years ago, where talents will have issues doing jobs or end up pulled from dates at WWE's behest. But whether those fears are correctly founded remains to be seen. It does seem like maybe the UK stuff has become almost like a trial run for them launching this new WWE ID program in North America. So it'll be interesting to see what political ramifications this has.
I would hope that there were lessons learned from the way that WWE UK ran, in that it did pull a lot of talent from the indie scene and some cases at last minute, and consequently it left the UK indie scene in quite a lot of disarray for many years. But you know what? The perseverance of any independent scene is that when these people get pulled away, it allows for other people to come through, and the talents and I think the UK scene is now back to a situation where it is certainly surviving and thriving once more, but not for the help of what happened with NXT UK and WWE's UK offering.
That certainly can be seen as something which definitely ended that initial boom period in the 2010s, certainly. And it was a massive time for UK wrestling, and then it just felt like suddenly promotions really struggled to get any momentum going because, like you say, they'd build up a whole storyline, and then the key part of that storyline might be a guy involved with NXT UK, and they went, we need him for this date, and it just kind of ruined months of planning. And that was only one example of sort of the upheaval that it caused as well.
Yeah, it's something that we're going to keep an eye on. I think as a concept, I don't mind it in the sense that it offers, as you say, a pathway for people who want to pursue careers in WWE. Obviously, you don't have to. There's been a few indie wrestlers who have spoken out about the fact that they would rather just learn strong chain wrestling as opposed to learning to work to the hard cam. I've seen a few people tweeting about that. But again, it's up to you. It's whether or not you want to pursue. If you want to pursue that path and go to WWE, then you can. And if you don't, then you don't have to.
I do worry that it means that we'll never again really see a story like that of an AJ Styles or a CM Punk or a Bryan Danielson, somebody who's become like an indie great and never was involved with WWE until they were, and then managed to transfer that success in their own unique way over to WWE.
I think you'll still have that. I think that there will still be people who won't aggressively pursue that pathway, but they'll just do their own thing, and then WWE will throw them an offer. It's like AJ Styles, as you say, is an example of somebody who was made an offer to join the development system in WWE, but the money was awful for one thing, and he didn't, and he decided to go and find his own horizon. And consequently, he was able to come back and do it on his own terms. So there will always be people like that, I think, who will. I've seen a few really great wrestlers who I follow on Twitter, who I love to pieces, and they've very much rallied against the idea of doing basically like doing a WWE training program. They just want to go and do their thing and do it the way they want to do it. And there's a couple in there where I think, you know what, chances are you'll go and do your own thing. You'll go and find your own horizon, and WWE will come a calling anyway.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that is true.
I think, but I think certainly NXT UK is a cautionary tale for a lot of promoters stateside.
Yeah, it'll be a really interesting one to keep an eye on and just see kind of how it develops over the next few years as well.
Let's go to Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling to be exact. Some exciting news regarding AEW's Kenny Omega.
Yeah, New Japan have announced that Omega will be part of New Japan Power Struggle next month. Not that far away actually at all, on November 4th. In a statement online, New Japan said Kenny Omega will be at the Edion Arena, Osaka for a special guest appearance. After a reunion at New Japan's offices with Hiroshi Tanahashi created a buzz across the wrestling world, what will come from this special appearance? And it could be so many things, but as you've noted here correctly, Tom, Kenny Omega has made it clear in previous interviews that he would love to be cleared in time for Wrestle Dynasty, which is the night after Wrestle Kingdom. And it's that big cross-promotional venture with promotions including AEW.
And he has also spoken about wanting to get revenge on the Young Bucks and team with Tanahashi. So you can put those building blocks together there and create a lovely house of a wrestling match, potentially for Wrestle Dynasty.
And also, when I went on the Wrestle Dynasty Wikipedia page just a few minutes ago, there was only one match on the card so far, and it's the Young Bucks versus Mystery and Mystery. But I don't know if that's just been
the
cheeky.
Mystery Brothers.
I don't know how long that's been there or if it's a legitimate edit or what, but it is there on the Wikipedia page at the time of recording.
I'm sorry, I've just heard that the Mystery Brothers have been pulled. Per to WWE's ID plans, they will be competing on NXT Level Up on Wednesday.
Not the Mystery Brothers.
Love the Mystery Brothers. They're now known as the Question Marks.
Who will stop the Bucks now?
The buck does stop with them. Fingers crossed that we get a Kenny Omega return very soon, because I think he's been a great miss on television.
He has, and one where I think as soon as he comes back, that'll kind of, everyone will remember, oh my God, yes, remember Kenny Omega, he's back. Amazing. Hopefully so anyway.
How's this for a fun return? So next week, NXT emanates from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And they are giving us a lot of nostalgia pangs with this one. Rob Van Dam set to have what looks like a three-way dance at time of recording between Javon Evans and Wesley. Bubba Ray Dudley potentially putting the tie-dye back on to team with Trick Williams in there as well. Francine is going to be down for the show. Dawn Marie Marie is going to be guest refereeing a hardcore match between Jada Parker and Lola Vice. There it is. But there's another name that's been pitched to be part of the show next week.
Yes, this is according to Fightful, who say there was a pitch for a tag team match that would involve Lita, who did appear in ECW as Miss Congeniality. The pitch we heard was an 8 or 10 women tag, which would happen on the show, which seems to have been set up on this week's TV. Lita was actually at the ECW arena last week as well, but Fightful were told this was actually for unrelated reasons. The match was being pitched throughout the week. We'll have to wait and see. Even though Lita wasn't the Lita we all know today in ECW, I think she fits the ECW vibe enough that she could be on that show.
I think so, yeah, I think so. You've kind of they did set up this 10-woman tag last night on NXT with Jordan Grace, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Kalani Jordan, and
Delta.
Yes. Oh, I'm doing great. Or Zarya, as she's now known.
Zarya, yes.
I wonder whether we see a scene where Fatal Influence and the Mean Girls take out Kalani Jordan.
I was about to be like, don't say Kalani.
Sorry,
it was
Kalani.
Just so sad. But
Kalani is collateral damage on this one.
Even if she just gets involved, if it all becomes a chaotic match and maybe some extra heels interfere, maybe Lita can even the odds. She doesn't need to be like an official participant. It could be. Even though the match seems to have been set, the card is always subject to change in professional wrestling.
Always subject to change. But 9 pitches for Crown Jewel is not changing. That is on the channel later today as Jack, Ross, and Andrew. Why am I rubbish with names today? It's getting old, isn't it? Mandrew.
Me, Ross, and Andrew.
Jack, Ross, and Mandrew with 9 pitches for WWE Crown Jewel this weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Check that out on the channel later on today. And myself and Owen will be on twitch.tv/Cultaholic at 6 p.m. tonight playing some Football Manager. Fly Swans Fly.
And for the latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe and fly swans fly.